I think one of the things I wrote was for the negative storyline, perhaps you could change the style of filming. So for the positive one, you could have a very steady camera shot, whereas for the negative one, you could have a quite shaky sort of home video style filming, because actually physically when people are very ill and very weak, they do shake, they're not stable, they're not steady at all.
Yeah.
I also suggested maybe a slightly sort of warmer lighting if that is something that you have the equipment to do.
Well, I mean,
then
I said I can actually edit that after, so that's something I've definitely been thinking about.
I think that actually death as a consequence of an eating disorder is something that isn't often talked about because it is just so shocking, but I think it needs to be, because people often don't realise the seriousness of what they or one of their friends or family is actually doing. I think if you just let her pass out, that still suggests that even if it gets really bad, that there is a way out for people, because they'll just pass out and then they'll get found, whereas that doesn't always happen, that isn't always the reality, and it can be fatal.
But do you think maybe, again, this isn't necessarily what I think, it's just I'm making you talk. Do you think maybe that if I said she died, that would suggest to some people who are quite far gone that they don't actually have the opportunity to try again and get better?
I think the positive video after the negative one will still suggest that they have the opportunity to get better if they just talk to someone. I mean, however far gone you are, you can always get help.
Yeah.
It is literally a case of if your body shuts down and that's it, but anywhere before that point you can still get help. So I think that just the positive story afterwards will convey that enough that you don't need to worry.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. What else did I ask Will?
I think maybe show more of the positive recovery side of it. I think maybe make the negative side quite short but quite to the point and shocking, because that's the point of it, is trying to get a message across, and then maybe have a bit longer focused on the positive recovery, because one, it takes a while and you want to show that, and also it kind of, you've had the shock and then it kind of, the length of time would reinforce the fact that
there is a chance
for everyone, and then maybe sort of 40 seconds at the end, 30 seconds of just facts, figures, maybe a helpline or something you can call.
Well, so you think that if I actually made the positive storyline like quite a long struggle, because obviously that is true, that would actually just convey it in the same way, as opposed to having a really long drawn out way of her getting to eventually die?
I think in a way, the death, it wouldn't be the dramatic bit, it'd be if you drew it out for too long. I think that might just be a bit too much for people. Yeah. I think in terms of getting better, you need to show when people are being supportive and how they can recognise that. So like if somebody was texting them and actually for once, rather than not replying, because a lot of people do that, they just don't reply, they don't talk to people anymore. They actually reply, they start sort of agreeing to go out and do stuff, as opposed to staying at home, one, because they haven't got the energy, and two, because they don't want to deal with that kind of interaction. With the getting worse, I know a lot of people, when they suffer from eating disorders, think that somehow it's impressing people like them more because of it, and perhaps there's some way of showing that kind of mentality.
Perhaps someone sort of makes a comment that they look really disgustingly skinny. Obviously not that. So actually she's being picked on for being so skinny as opposed to being picked on for being so fat.
Yeah.
No, I like that, that's good.
And at the end, I know it's kind of a fairly generic thing to say, but to actually say nobody likes you because of your eating disorder.
Some sort of
inspirational
quote,
the person you are, and you know, if you let it get better of you, you won't be that person.
Yeah.
So
no, that'd be good. I like
something
that.
Just to sort of lift it a bit at the end.